The sickening sound of flesh striking flesh echoed through the darkened cabin. A flight attendant, simply doing his job, was brutally slapped across the face by an enraged passenger, her eyes burning with entitlement and prejudice. What followed was a nightmare at 30,000 feet that no airline professional should ever have to endure. Today's story exposes the horrifying reality of what flight attendants sometimes face. A racist passenger who didn't just verbally abuse a crew member, but physically assaulted him in front of a plane full of witnesses. The attack was so severe and threatening that the pilot had no choice but to declare an emergency and divert the aircraft, delaying hundreds of passengers. The consequences for this shocking act of violence? Federal charges, lifetime flying bans, and a viral video that destroyed the attacker's carefully crafted social media persona overnight. If you've ever witnessed someone completely lose control in public, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to see more stories of instant karma. One click helps us bring you more content like this. Here's how it all unfolded. Flight 2187 from Phoenix to Boston was supposed to be unremarkable, just another packed Coastal Airways red-eye with passengers eager to arrive at their destination. Among them was Sandra Wilkins, a 52-year-old real estate agent from Scottsdale, Arizona, who had built a modest social media following showcasing her luxury listings and aspirational lifestyle. What her 37,000 followers didn't see was the side of her personality that would soon be broadcast to millions. The trouble began approximately 45 minutes after takeoff. The cabin lights had been dimmed, and most passengers were settling in for the overnight journey. Rashid Khan, a flight attendant with 8 years of experience at Coastal Airways, was making his way through the cabin with the beverage cart, attending to passengers who were still awake. What's the worst behavior you've ever witnessed on a flight? Share your story in the comments below. When the cart reached row 14, where Wilkins was seated in the aisle, Khan politely asked if she would like anything to drink. According to multiple witness accounts, Wilkins was already displaying signs of irritation. Having complained earlier about the temperature in the cabin and the fact that she couldn't be upgraded to first class despite her frequent flyer status. "I've been waiting for 20 minutes, Wilkins said loudly, though the drink service had only begun 10 minutes earlier. "Why are you serving everyone else before me?" Khan, maintaining his professional demeanor, apologized for the wait and again asked what she would like to drink. Witnesses in nearby rows reported that his tone remained courteous and patient. "Diet Coke, no ice," Wilkins replied. "And make sure the can is clean this time. The service on this airline has gone downhill ever since they started hiring people like you." The racist undertone of her comment was immediately apparent to those sitting nearby. A passenger in the row behind Wilkins began recording with her phone, a decision that would later provide crucial evidence. Khan handed Wilkins her Diet Coke without acknowledging the remark, attempting to de-escalate the situation. But as he turned to serve the passenger in the window seat, Wilkins wasn't finished. "Excuse me, I wasn't done talking to you," she said, her voice rising. "Don't you know it's rude to walk away when a customer is speaking? Or do they not teach manners where you come from?" Khan turned back, still maintaining his composure. "I apologize, ma'am. Is there something else you needed?" "Yes," Wilkins said, now loud enough that passengers several rows away could hear. "I need you to do your job properly. This isn't some third-world airline. You should be grateful to even work here." At this point, passengers in adjacent rows became visibly uncomfortable. A woman across the aisle asked Wilkins to lower her voice as people were trying to sleep. This only redirected Wilkins' anger. "Mind your own business," she snapped. "I'm a platinum member with this airline. I pay good money not to be disrespected by the help." Khan attempted to move the cart forward, but Wilkins grabbed his arm. "I'm filing a complaint about you as soon as we land," she said. "What's your name? Give me your full name. Have you ever intervened when someone was being mistreated in public? What happened? Share your experience in the comments." As Khan calmly pointed to his name badge, Wilkins pulled out her phone and began taking photos of him without consent, a violation of airline policy. When he politely informed her of this rule, her reaction shocked everyone within view. "Don't you dare tell me what I can and can't do," she said, her voice now at full volume. "I know my rights. You people always try to make up rules when you get called out." By this point, Julie Chen, the lead flight attendant, had been alerted to the disturbance and approached row 14. "Ma'am, I need to ask you to lower your voice," Chen said. "Other passengers are trying to rest." "Another one?" Wilkins said incredulously. "I want to speak to whoever's in charge of this flight. Not you, not him." She gestured dismissively at Khan. "A real manager." Chen, with 15 years of experience handling difficult passengers, explained calmly that she was indeed the lead flight attendant on duty. "I understand you're upset, but we need to resolve this without disturbing other passengers. Could you please tell me what the issue is?" Instead of explaining, Wilkins escalated further. "The issue is incompetence and disrespect. I've been flying this airline for 20 years, and the standards have collapsed. It's obvious why," she said, looking pointedly at Khan. Chen, recognizing the racist implication, took a more direct approach. "Ma'am, I need to be very clear. Discriminatory language or behavior toward our crew is not tolerated on Coastal Airways flights. If this continues, there will be consequences when we land in Boston." The mention of consequences seemed to trigger something in Wilkins. Her face flushed with anger. "Are you threatening me? Do you know who I am? I could buy and sell you both." As Chen tried once more to de-escalate, recommending that Wilkins try to get some rest and they could discuss any service issues upon landing, Wilkins made her fatal error. When Khan reached past her to serve another passenger, Wilkins suddenly stood up, turned toward him, and slapped him hard across the face, shouting, "Don't reach over me like I'm not here." The sound of the slap seemed to freeze time in the cabin. Passengers who had been pretending to sleep now sat upright. Those who had been watching discreetly now stared openly. And those who had been recording discreetly now did so openly, capturing the assault in high definition. Khan, stunned but still professional, stepped back immediately. Chen intervened, placing herself between them and using her body to shield Khan. "That's assault," Chen stated firmly. "I need you to sit down right now." "He invaded my personal space," Wilkins shouted, seemingly oblivious to the numerous phones now recording her from multiple angles. "He had no right to reach across me." "Do you think there should be stricter penalties for passengers who assault flight crew members? Type yes or no in the comments, and tell us why." Chen turned to another flight attendant who had rushed over. "Alert the cockpit. Code yellow." Then she turned back to Wilkins. "Ma'am, I need you to return to your seat immediately." "Or what?" Wilkins challenged, still standing. "What are you going to do about it?" She would soon find out. Within minutes, the captain's voice came over the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. Due to a security situation in the cabin, we'll be making an unscheduled landing in Denver. Please return to your seats and fasten your seatbelts. Flight attendants, prepare the cabin for landing." The announcement sent a ripple of dismayed murmurs through the cabin. A 5-hour flight was now being interrupted, potentially causing passengers to miss connections and adding hours to their journey. All because of one person's behavior. Wilkins, finally seeming to realize the seriousness of the situation, changed tactics. "This is ridiculous," she said, her voice quieter but still defiant. "He should be the one getting in trouble, not me." A passenger across the aisle spoke up. "We all saw what happened. You slapped him for no reason." "You don't know the whole story," Wilkins replied, but the fight was leaving her voice as she noticed how many phones were pointed in her direction. "They were discriminating against me the whole flight." The aircraft began its descent into Denver. Chen and the other flight attendants secured the cabin, keeping a careful distance from Wilkins, who now sat silently, alternating between checking her phone and staring straight ahead. As the plane touched down and taxied to a gate, the captain made another announcement. "Folks, we apologize for the inconvenience of this unscheduled stop. The authorities have been notified and will be boarding the aircraft. We ask that everyone remain seated until they have completed their duties. We'll get you back on your way to Boston as quickly as possible." When the aircraft door opened, 4 police officers entered the cabin. Chen approached them and spoke quietly, pointing toward row 14. The officers walked directly to Wilkins. "Ma'am, we need you to gather your belongings and come with us," the lead officer stated. Wilkins, now recording on her own phone, attempted one last stand. "I'm being targeted and removed without cause," she declared loudly, clearly performing for her own recording. "This is discrimination against me as a paying customer." The officer was unmoved. "Ma'am, we've received reports that you physically assaulted a crew member. That's a federal offense. Please stand up and bring your belongings." "This is outrageous," Wilkins protested, still not moving. "I want everyone's badge numbers. I'm calling my attorney." "You can do that from the terminal," the officer replied calmly. "Right now, you need to deplane voluntarily, or we will remove you." Looking around for support and finding none, Wilkins finally stood, gathering her purse and carry-on with deliberate slowness. As the officers escorted her down the aisle, several passengers broke into spontaneous applause, a sound that would feature prominently in the videos that began uploading to social media even before the plane left Denver. Would you applaud if a disruptive passenger was removed from your flight? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories about public meltdowns and their consequences. In the terminal, Wilkins' bravado continued as she was led to a private security room. "Do you know how much business I bring to this airline?" she demanded. "I'm going to sue everyone involved in this. The airline, that flight attendant who assaulted me, and the Denver Police Department." The officers processed her information, explaining that she was being charged with simple assault, interference with flight crew members, and making threats aboard an aircraft. Federal offenses that could carry significant penalties. "This is ridiculous," Wilkins repeated, now on the phone with someone she identified as her husband. "They're treating me like a criminal over a misunderstanding. Get our lawyer on the phone." What Wilkins didn't yet realize was that the incident was already going viral. While she was being processed in Denver, at least 6 different videos of the altercation had been uploaded to various social media platforms. The hashtag #PlaneKaren was trending, with viewers around the world sharing and commenting on her behavior. One video, filmed from just 2 rows behind and capturing both the racist comments and the slap in clear detail, had already reached 2 million views and was being picked up by national news outlets. By the time Wilkins was released on bail 4 hours later, her professional and personal life was in free fall. Her real estate brokerage's social media accounts were flooded with negative comments. Her own carefully curated Instagram page, filled with smiling photos of homes sold and client testimonials, was now bombarded with clips of her mid-flight meltdown. A particularly damaging juxtaposition emerged when social media users discovered a post Wilkins had made just 3 weeks earlier, celebrating diversity in real estate and claiming to welcome clients from all backgrounds. The hypocrisy between her public persona and private behavior became a particular focus of the online backlash. Meanwhile, Flight 2187 had continued to Boston after a 78-minute delay in Denver. Rashid Khan, despite being visibly shaken by the incident, had insisted on continuing his duties for the remainder of the flight, a professionalism that did not go unnoticed by passengers. As the aircraft finally reached its destination, 3 hours behind schedule, the captain made an unusual announcement. "Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Coastal Airways and our entire crew, I want to thank you for your patience during tonight's unfortunate disruption. I especially want to acknowledge the professionalism of our flight attendants, who handled a difficult situation with grace and restraint. If you experienced any inconvenience due to our diversion to Denver, please speak with a customer service representative at the gate." What the passengers didn't know was that, while they were still in the air, Coastal Airways' corporate communications team had already issued a statement. Coastal Airways has a zero-tolerance policy for discrimination or violence against our employees. The passenger involved in tonight's incident on Flight 2187 has been permanently banned from flying with our airline. We are cooperating fully with authorities and will pursue all available legal remedies. Coastal Airways stands firmly with our diverse team members who have the right to perform their duties in a safe, respectful environment. Have you noticed more incidents of passenger misconduct being reported lately? Why do you think this behavior seems to be increasing? Share your perspective below. The aftermath continued to unfold in the days following the incident. Rashid Khan, the flight attendant who had been assaulted, received an outpouring of support from colleagues, passengers, and the public. In a brief statement released through the Flight Attendants Union, he thanked everyone for their kind messages and emphasized that the incident, while disturbing, was not representative of the thousands of positive interactions he had experienced throughout his career. For Sandra Wilkins, the consequences were swift and severe. Within 48 hours of the videos going viral, her real estate brokerage announced they had terminated their relationship with her. The National Association of Realtors launched an ethics investigation. 3 major airlines announced they were adding her to their no-fly lists. Her social media accounts were either deleted or set to private after receiving thousands of negative comments. Local news stations in Phoenix began reporting on previous complaints against her from former clients, particularly clients of colorers. The legal ramifications were equally serious. The federal charges for interfering with a flight crew member and committing assault on an aircraft carried potential penalties of up to 20 years in prison and fines exceeding $250,000. While legal experts suggested she would likely receive a much lighter sentence as a first-time offender, the prospect of a federal conviction and possible incarceration remained. 10 days after the incident, as the media frenzy began to subside, Wilkins finally released a statement through her attorney. "I sincerely apologize for my behavior on Coastal Airways Flight 2187. My actions were inexcusable, and I take full responsibility for the hurt I caused Mr. Khan, the disruption to other passengers, and the damage to my community. I am committed to making amends, including undergoing sensitivity training and seeking appropriate counseling. This incident does not reflect my true values, and I am deeply sorry." The apology was met with skepticism online, with many noting it came only after she had lost her job, her reputation, and potentially her freedom. Others pointed out that the statement made no specific acknowledgement of the racist nature of her comments. Khan, when asked by a reporter if he accepted the apology, demonstrated remarkable grace. "I believe in second chances and the capacity for people to learn and grow. What happened on that flight doesn't define either of us. I hope Mrs. Wilkins finds peace and understanding going forward." As for the other passengers on Flight 2187, many reported that the experience had changed how they viewed air travel. Several mentioned in interviews that they would no longer remain silent if they witnessed similar behavior in the future. One passenger from row 16 perhaps summed it up best. "What struck me wasn't just her behavior, but how quickly everyone else decided they weren't going to tolerate it. There was this moment when the whole plane collectively said no. That gives me hope." 3 months later, Wilkins pleaded guilty to reduced charges of simple assault and disorderly conduct on an aircraft. She was sentenced to 2 years of probation, 200 hours of community service, mandatory completion of an anger management program, and a $5,000 fine. The judge also ordered her to write a formal letter of apology to Rashid Khan and to all passengers on the flight whose travel was disrupted. By this time, Coastal Airways had implemented new training protocols for flight crews, specifically focused on handling discriminatory behavior. They also introduced a clearer announcement at the beginning of flights, reminding passengers that discriminatory language or actions toward crew or other passengers could result in removal from the aircraft and potential legal consequences. Perhaps the most significant legacy of the incident came 6 months later, when Rashid Khan was promoted to a management position overseeing crew training, with a special focus on helping flight attendants navigate difficult passenger interactions with professionalism and dignity. The videos of the incident continue to circulate online, serving as a powerful reminder that in our interconnected world, a moment of unfiltered prejudice can have life-altering consequences. For Sandra Wilkins, a few minutes of uncontrolled rage destroyed what she had spent years building. For Rashid Khan, maintaining his professionalism in the face of abuse led to unexpected opportunities and widespread respect. Have you learned anything from watching incidents like this unfold online? Has it changed how you behave in public, or how you respond to witnessing discrimination? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Remember to subscribe for more stories of public accountability and the consequences of entitlement. One click helps us bring these important stories to light.